ورسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول كل بدعة ضلالة.
From those causes that increase the likelihood of divorce is that not taking care in the first year of marriage. Many divorces take place in the first year of marriage, meaning that very early on in the marriage, they're already divorced. Because that is the critical stage. Or the seeds of divorce are sown in the first year. And this is due to a lack of acquaintance and understanding between the husband and his wife. Or because they did not look at each other properly before agreeing to the marriage. He didn't look at her properly. She didn't look at him properly. Or they did not investigate the background of the person enough. Or because you concealed an illness or deficiency, whether mental or physical. So you need to ask the right questions. Ask the people in the community questions about their Islam, the Sunnah, where they're going to live, where you're going to stay. Questions about his work, where does he work? His hijrah plans, if you want to leave the country and go and live amongst the Muslim lands, ask. Where does his provision come from? Does he attend durus? Does he pray in the masjid? Does he attend Jum'ah? Ask about illnesses. Ask about the family. Whether the mother and father are divorced. Whether they are Muslim or kuffar. Ask about previous marriages and future children. Problem is, you're so eager to marry that you fail to ask the right questions before marriage. You're so eager. So you don't ask the right questions. And then when things go wrong, you are just as eager to divorce. So prevention is better than cure. Ask the difficult questions before marriage. So you're preventing a future harm by asking the right questions. Secondly, be careful that your marriage is not afflicted with evil eye or magic. A sign of that is when a couple who are loving and kind with one another can no longer stand to be in the company of each other. So she can't stand him. But even previously she was fine. She's triggered by the smallest of things that did not previously concern her. So now she wants to separate. My advice, my brothers and sisters, be constant in your morning and evening supplications. The adiyah of the morning and evening. Thank Allah constantly for the goodness that Allah has given you. Give in sadaqah as a gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Seek refuge with Him from every evil, from the evil eye and from magic and other than that. And be careful and advice, especially to the shabab. Be careful not to share all the news and bounties of your home to people outside the home. And especially not on social media. Keep the affair to yourself and those whom you love. The third affair is that some husbands, especially in these times, they don't take the responsibility of the family and married life seriously. They don't carry out their duties as a husband should. They don't spend on their families as the Sharia requires. They are obligated, my brothers and sisters. As brothers, we are obligated by Allah to provide for our wives, to provide for our children, to clothe them, to nurture them, to give them access to study the deen of Al-Islam, and to protect them and to honor them. That's our responsibility as men over our women folk and our children. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعدهم على بعد وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم فالصالحات قانتات حافظات للغيب بما حفظ الله واللاتي تخافون نشوزهن فعظوهن. Men are in charge of women, Allah said in this ayah, in Surah An-Nisa. Men are in charge of women. They are their protectors and maintainers because Allah has made one of them excel the other. And because the men spend upon them from their means. Therefore the righteous women are obedient to Allah, obedient to their husbands. And they guard in their husband's absence what Allah orders them to guard, meaning their chastity and their husband's property. As to those women on whose part you see some ill conduct, then admonish them. Admonish them. The fourth affair is that they do not share the responsibility in nurturing and raising the children. That includes education and disciplining. It is not correct that a man leaves all of that to the woman, or for the woman to be negligent in being the primary cultivator of young children, keeping them fed, clean, washed and clothed, while the husband is out working and providing. When either of you falls short and throws the complete burden upon the other, then differing and resentment and discord is inevitable. So work hard with your children together, both mother and father, and seek your reward from Allah, and you'll see the good fruits of your laboring with your children when they are still young. You're going to see it. You labor with them now when they're young, you'll see the fruits of that, inshallah, when they're older. So that means the shared responsibility. Of course, the greater responsibility is upon the wife, because the man is out working so that he can provide for them. Fifthly, the husband, which is a cause that leads to discord and nushuz and dissension in the marriage, the husband always being out of the home, even after work. Away from his wife, away from his children. He's constantly out with friends, especially at night. Or that he has bad companionship. And the same can be said about her. You're always out of the house, my sister. Shopping in the malls, or always busy on your phone, updating your profile on social media, or wasting your time on YouTube and Instagram. Just the phone is always in your hands. These kind of things open up the door for Iblis to come and cause discord between you. Spend more time with each other when you are not working or busy with household chores. Sit next to each other, read to each other, benefit from each other in conversation, even if it is small, or just play with each other with fine words and actions. This, just being in the company of each other, is an ingredient that is necessary to make a marriage work. And it will last for decades, inshallah. Just being in each other's company. So when a man finishes work, you may have to go to the dars. That's no problem. Take her with you. But don't spend hours and hours out of the home whilst you leave your wife alone at home. Sixthly, be careful of the constant interference of in-laws and relatives in your Islamic household and in the lives of your children. And this is especially serious when your relatives are irreligious and sinful. They will draw you and your children into their sinful and irreligious lifestyles. They will try and offer you advice that is futile, that opposes the sunnah. And they will get offended by you when you do not follow their ways. They may harm your marriage without even realizing the damage they are causing. So be on guard, even with your own relatives, with your parents and your brothers and your sisters. You want your children constantly mixing with them, and they are sinners. All they do is watch TV or listen to music, and their lifestyles are un-Islamic. Visit and mix with these types of relatives only occasionally, and save your wife and children from being affected from them or by them. The seventh affair, the wife who overburdens her husband beyond his ability, always demanding what is beyond him. She's constantly miserable, sad, because he's not giving her what she wants. The only time she gets happy is when she gets more possessions, more riches. She knows that her husband can't afford a better house, better furniture, but she's always demanding. She disobeys him because she's discontent. My sisters, don't ruin your homes. Don't ruin your marriages, barakallahu feekum. Don't ruin them. Because you'll end up divorced, lonely, old and sad, because no man likes a woman like that. You won't be happy. So be careful, my sisters. So let us change our unpraiseworthy attitude. Be patient, supportive, and be satisfied with that which Allah has given you. The man works hard. If he works hard, then be grateful. Eighthly, that the man takes custody of the wealth of his wife. That is not right. A man should not touch the wealth of his wife without her permission. He should not mistreat her. He should not get angry with her for no reason. He should not be abusive towards her, nor her parents. This is not acceptable, my brothers. Anas radiallahu anhu, and we already mentioned the hadith, where the Prophet ﷺ said, I command you to take care of your women in a goodly manner. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu stated that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam had a black slave who would join him on some of his journeys, and his name was Anjasha. And he drove forth the camels with the songs of the camel drivers. So Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him on an occasion, O Anjasha, be gentle when you are driving the camels that carry the fragile vessels. In a narration, he said to Anjasha, O Anjasha, drive them slowly. O Anjasha, don't break the fragile vessels, referring to the women who were carried on the back of the camels in the Hawda. And the fact is that women are like fragile vessels, and men should take care how they deal and interact with them, whether they are your wives, your daughters, your sisters, or your mothers, or your aunts, and so on. Women are not the same as men. Not in their physiological makeup, not in their psychology, not in their emotional responses to situations. Women are different. Parents, therefore, should not raise their girls in the same manner that they raise their boys, because Allah has created them differently. Allah has created them differently. Each of them responds differently to events. A man will respond differently to a woman. Girls and young women should be encouraged from an early age. If you want their marriages to survive and to prosper when they're older, encourage your daughters to be feminine, not feminist, feminine in the traditional sense, in the way that they speak, in the way that they dress, in the way that they behave, in the way that they interact. This includes nurturing those noble characteristics of modesty, polite speech, tenderness, devotion, being domesticated, knowing how to run a home, how to be shy, learning to manage a home, how to beautify themselves, dress appropriately, to cook and clean, to look after guests, to raise children. This is how parents should be raising their daughters, because that's what men want. Speak to men. That's what men want in a woman. Women should be taught that they are different to men. They should not be brash and coarse in their mannerisms, because that's what men are. A man doesn't want to marry someone like himself. He wants to marry a woman who is kind, caring, feminine. Barakallahu feekum. So in conclusion, I advise you, when discord and differing arises, which is inevitable in all marriages, it is going to happen. Don't be shocked when you get married and differing occurs. It happens. Talk and listen to one another. Communicate with each other without raising voices or displaying anger, even if you feel angry inside. Aim to make the relationship work. That's your goal. My brothers, do not threaten your wives with divorce in times of anger. And sisters, don't be hasty in asking for a divorce and separation. That is the trap of shaitan to destroy your marriage. Be wise, be mature, be patient. Ask the elders in your community. Ask the old man who has been married 20, 30, 40 years. Oh, uncle, what advice do you have for a successful marriage? Your marriage is 40 years old. You have grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And make dua that Allah guides you and your husband. And that Allah bestows upon you tolerance and patience. And remember that you may hate something. Asa an takrahu shay'an wa huwa khayrun lakum. That you may hate something, but that which you hate, it is good for you. So be patient and work hard, barakallahu feekum, to protect these marriages.